Okay. Who wants to... who am I kidding? You're all doing the recap from the best of your memory. Go.
Yep, we're down to tie this one.
Yeah.
So, start off in the recovery period of the Fool's Fall day. Or Fool's Fall Feast? Either
Fool's
way.
Turn Feast.
Fool's Turn
Yeah.
Feast. There we go. And we went to set out, or at least most of the party did. Alsana decided to take a more alternate route to pick up something she was cursing herself and kicking herself to have not gotten before. So she was going to be cutting through the Sorren wood and then going north to Sorren, while the party was kind of taking more of the northeast and just straight direction from Walton to Sorren. Sorren being deceivingly closer to the river than the map might show.
Yeah.
For the party, it wasn't an eventful trip for them, I don't think.
No, I think they ducked into shelter to avoid a bit of snow and
there's the snow
sleet.
and rain.
Yeah.
Which was very nice for Alsana. She, I forget if it was on the way to or from the shrine, but she did pick up some maple syrup, or maple sap, I guess.
Yep.
More of a chunk than a bottle, but
more akin to a piece of amber.
Maybe. Canadian amber.
It's well frozen. That's all.
But yep. And she was on the lookout for other stuff. Didn't really find much. However, she did get what she came for. Bottled some water from the shrine. Sparkly magical shrine water. 3 bottles. Sorren shrine water, I specified. I don't know how important that is, but who knows. Meanwhile, as she was kind of just starting to head back, is when the larger group made it to Sorren. They put up for the night in... does anyone remember the name of the inn?
I got it. It is the Hammered Haddock that they stayed in.
I want to say like Drunk Boar or something, but yeah, that works.
The Wasted Walrus.
Sure. Be the Boozed Boar, actually. But set up for some room there, and Kane made a quick trip to the library to kind of, in good intention, kind of get a little bit of the work for Alsana done and make it easier for her when she got there. Alaris visited his parents-in-law?
Mm-hmm.
In Sorren, and just had some brief conversations, and I think he just kind of stayed the evening there. And Calder wrote a letter?
Yep, Calder wrote a letter. Calder still has that letter right now.
Calder has not asked Alsana to send that letter yet.
Nope.
Assuming that's where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Kane looked for someone to help and found this bookish type scribe girl. Does she have round glasses? I forget if she has round glasses.
She has no glasses.
Yeah,
she is the one without. Yes, that was the specified bit.
She's got a few freckles.
Mm-hmm. So all the other qualifiers of book girl.
Short, nerdy, freckles. Yeah.
Was she particularly short for a human, or was it just kind of looking up towards Kane?
I think it's just Kane is big.
Kane is big. She's not particularly short for a human. I think she's more average. She's somewhere within that, whatever you'd consider a general normal range.
5'6"-ish.
Yeah, maybe 5'5". I don't know. She could be in one
biased.
of those like half-inch things. Yes, I am. So are you from the other direction. Move on.
I am perfectly average, and I'd say about 5'5". So.
Yes, you are perfectly average for a woman. Anyways.
That was just mean.
Come on, you set that up for me. She has a kind of taken aback moment, looking up and seeing this big orkly fellow, or
Orkly.
big orkly gentleman. He's not full orc, he is just orkly.
I would call him a fellow, however.
Individual. He certainly breathes.
Occasionally.
And helped him out with some general stuff, although Kane's inquiries were broad at best and oddly targeted and not allowing for much specifics in specifics.
Alright, man, tell us how you really feel.
I'm playing Alsana, this is how she feels.
You're not. Whatever.
And speaking of which, after a day, Alsana kind of makes her way through the storm, is rained on and sleeted on, and she's not happy because rainy days are the best library time. But eventually she makes it and kind of sails over the guard posts in the city limits, evading any suspicion just on the broom. And she got there at like was it like 1 in the morning or something?
It was late. I don't remember an exact time, but yeah, it was late.
Yeah, around that point. And found an inn of her own, horrified the innkeeper
As she is
with
wanted.
dramatically timed lightning and everything. Uh, and then in the morning made a beeline for the library, figuring, well, if they're gonna look anywhere for me, and did run into the rest of the group, or at least Kane to start. I forget.
I think everybody tagged along, or at least
Yeah,
showed up there.
yeah, no, the Kane offered, and the group kind of came along. And then research was had, things were looked up, general broad strokes, things about Dragon Spine, some potential monsters were inquired about, and then Alsana answered about, for ones in the, Greenwater Wood.
Mm-hmm.
We found out about an old green dragon, king of Azora, from way back when, named Vaestrin, who has the local legend of being slain, and his was the blood that turned the Green River green, or at least gave it its name. And the current leader of Azora is Queen Lysionora?
Mm-hmm.
Lysionora, twice widowed. So, I'm sure she's happily married.
Hey, third time's the charm.
I don't think having a name like that is going to inspire confidence in any suitors, but...
No, but that means the one who's going there is really dedicated.
Potentially. Or very, anyways. Found information on that, passed it, wasn't a whole lot we got, if I'm remembering correctly. There was vague, like, talk of shrines and potential, like, places for magic in the kind of wider, area between Dragonspine and basically the northeast of the map as a whole, northeast corner. We got a little on Killidan, but I forget if that was previously or in that library excursion. We basically decided on a no for Long Lake because there wasn't much there. And then Alsana came across the library assistant lady, whose name I totally remember right now. And kind of just asked about Kane, and kind of stumbled across a kind of adorable little infatuation she's got going. And of course needs to put that, needs to get in there as much as she can and set things up, and it could be great and terrible all at the same time, but eventually a date between the two of them was decided for the next day. At a coffee shop. It was the something Nook, the book Nook,
Mm-hmm.
the book Nook,
Yep.
and Alsana eavesdropped as a cat, and then subsequently scared the freckles off the poor girl. And I don't think there was much else. Alaris kind of flubbed his research.
Yeah, out of practice.
I was happy Alsana had some nice rolls. Also Alsana got a, I think it was after the, I think after the recording ended, but Alsana got a bit of the sniffles as she retired for the night. From kind of making that trek. Then lesser restoration, she was fine.
Yep.
Uh,
Of a note, I believe the three of the party went back to the Hammered Haddock, whereas
Yes.
Alsana went back
And
to the Resting Rook.
yes, because
So.
because they both kind of had rooms set up there already.
Yep. So
And quite
that
frankly,
was...
Alsana invested enough in horrifying the innkeeper to not stay there.
Okay. Is there anything anybody thinks we're forgetting or needs to be brought up?
I think we're good.
Was there any other research I missed that we got from the from the library excursion?
You searched into the Howling Plain, but there wasn't much
Right,
to
yes,
find.
Howling Plains and Hags. And that was about it, and maybe vague stories.
Yeah.
But generally not a nice place.
Yep.
Oh, and Alsana stopped by the alchemy place.
Yes, and found that things are very expensive.
Yes, and we need money.
Yeah.
We need lots of money.
Yeah.
Hello.
The struggle of adventure is just starting out.
I think that was it, though.
Okay. The night passes without really any incident for any of you. It's calm, it's quiet, it's peaceful. For Alsana, it is, I presume, per her usual machinations, very, very dark.
Mm-hmm.
And morning comes. It doesn't dawn bright. There's been lingering clouds the last since yesterday, and it also dawns much, much colder. The temperatures had been climbing. This is a sudden plunge back below freezing level. So the little bits of snow that had started to melt, the icicles that had started to drip from rooftops during the warm spell recently, has completely solidified now. And it's bitter, it bites as you open a window or step outside for the first time. Might have to pull the scarves back on, maybe an extra pair of mittens, but you know, you've gone through an entire winter. This is just another day of it.
Alsana pulls up the weather report.
All right, Alsana, for the weather report, you just get like heavy cloud cover, but no actual precipitation for the next 24 hours.
And just as a side note, I don't have the spell on my sheet right now, but Alsana will prepare Pass Without a Trace.
Okay. Alsana makes her preparations for the day. Anybody else got something they're doing?
Kane puts a little bit effort into how he looks in the morning.
Okay.
Not much, just enough to not look like a half-orc savage.
All right. Wash your face. Make sure you get behind your ears. Comb the mohawk a little. That
Brush
sort
the
of thing.
teeth.
Okay.
Put the nice bead at the back of the mohawk.
Okay.
Brush the tusks.
Brush the tusks.
Polish the tusks.
Not just brush.
How
He's not getting married. He's not polishing it.
How much tusk is Kane rocking?
It doesn't reach like up to his nose line, but it's most of the way there.
Okay.
It's enough that you wouldn't want him to bite you.
I wouldn't want anyone to bite me, but okay.
Exactly.
All right then. You all get something to eat, whatever time you want to head out, and whatever you'd like to do with the morning. I believe that Kane, you were asked to meet Eloise. Oh, was it midday? She said.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. So you do have a few hours before then.
Alsana is going to head over to, I assume, the group, let her know what inn they were staying at.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep, she'll
So yeah.
head there first thing.
Okay, just probably taking a nice cup of coffee, smoking his pipe.
Someone kind of walks in. It's like, you know that, well, a pipe doesn't exactly give you the best breath.
A little bit far from your mic there.
You know, a pipe doesn't exactly give you the best breath, right?
No, I thought people liked the smoky smell.
Well, you do.
Well, unfortunately, I am considered people, so.
I know. Just, not old people.
Why? Do you have some malintentions?
Malintentions for what?
Oh, you never seem to care how I usually smell.
I do. I just kind of despise it silently.
And the unusual silence is broken today for some reason.
Look, it's a topic of conversation, and quite frankly, I can't stop this any way else other than an insult.
I believe you started with an insult, but fair enough. Do tell me, sister. It seems like you have something else in the mind.
She goes, look, I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about.
That'd be a first. You usually seem to know more about what I'm talking about than I do. Takes another long drag of his pipe.
How was your research success yesterday, Alaris? Anything interesting?
No, I'm a bit rusty in terms of anything scholarly. I'm mostly shooting at things from the forest.
You're a bit, like, far off there, John.
Am I?
Yeah. That
There's something
sounded
sitting on your mic?
You're a bit in a
robot-y.
can.
Am I within a can?
A little bit.
I don't know how to fix that.
Unplug or me-plug?
You're a little better now than you were, but...
Huh?
Okay.
Say more words than just a vocalization.
Yeah,
Not quite.
You sound like a bee.
not quite.
Oh, that was good.
Yep.
What?
Yep,
There.
you're
Good
now
now.
better.
We got it. We got it.
That was weird.
Okay. That's very strange. I didn't really do it.
Might have just been sitting on something.
Probably. But yeah. No, it's been a while since I've done anything scholarly, so I can't really, I'm rusty. My apologies. Couldn't really.
You know, I've got oil for like 13 types of blades, but nothing for the mind. Wait, coffee. Coffee will work.
Coffee might work.
Coffee's more of a pesticide, but...
Yeah, the only pest I'm trying to get rid of is whatever the fuzzies that keep you from thinking properly are.
Funny you say that. Caffeine was actually developed by plants as a way to stop them from being attacked by certain bugs.
Really? How did it do that?
Well, just general improvement over time, I guess. Same way you get better with a sword.
I don't
Just
know.
with more plants.
I suppose. So don't feed any animals coffee. Good to know.
Yes, generally it's... There's a lot of things that humanoids tend to enjoy on their palate that other species might find, Well, quite frankly, we break the reasons that certain aspects of nature make to not be eaten. We see those as things to all the more be to eat. Any sort of pepper spice is, well, meant to keep away any predators from munching. Outside of birds, of course, they kind of spread the seeds, but
It's weird that humans just willfully ingest harmful things. Takes another long drag of his pipe.
maybe the increased intelligence comes with it, the need to kill something inside of you.
And that's back to being Alsana.
Oh,
I wonder if caffeine is just an elaborate way to kill morning people.
I'd be part of that plot.
Say again?
I'd be part of that plot.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
She kind of like stir. I assume she has like some sort of black tea. She's just kind of idly stirring.
Yep. Black tea, also notable for its caffeine.
Start the day with 6 shots now. Just gonna go over if it's possible to have taken one of the books out of the library on like military strategy. Kane's probably just quietly reading it with his breakfast.
You probably had to fill out a little bit of paperwork to do so, but I'd say that at least some books can be taken out, though
He totally
not
doesn't have
outside the
anyone in
city.
there pulling strings for him or anything. No, of course
Yeah.
not.
Just kind of quietly reading, like, I guess you could maneuver that way. Just enjoying his morning.
Okay.
By the way, do we have plans to leave at any point today, or are we gonna save that for tomorrow, guys?
Well, frankly,
Not entirely sure.
we should keep going and continue as quick as we can, no?
Good choice. I was hoping to at least enjoy the day here.
We can leave in the evening if you wish.
Alright with that. Laris, any arguments?
It is going to take multiple days to get to library already, right?
Yeah.
We're already going to be camping out, so the time we leave isn't that different.
On a straight shot, you're going to be camping at least once in the wilderness. If you take any sort of route, like against the Drake Run or the like, then it might add just a little bit of time, but it could be an easier path with there being a road. It depends. No, I'd say it's about 2 days regardless of your route.
Alright. Well,
Non-Euclidean is nice like that.
Yeah.
yes, well, if we leave in the evening, it shouldn't be much difference. It's not like we're avoiding camping out there by any stretch.
Your little weather thing over there doesn't tell us it's a bad idea tonight.
She kind of like flicks it on, like not even looking at it, just like in the hand. There's no mention of actual downpour, just overcast.
Sounds good then. Well,
She just kind of like snatches the cloud out of the air.
all this speak of caffeine is getting me a little bit thirsty for the drink. I think I'll go grab a coffee and then head to the library.
I might see you there. I have some small things I'd like to look into as well. And a friend
Oh.
visit.
You met my little reference over there, so I know she's off today. Oh well.
Sorry, say that again?
You met my little reference over there, but she's off today, so gonna have to do more individual research.
For my QA, I'm actually capable of doing such.
Fair enough. Maybe you can knock the rust off of old Alaris over there.
I think I've got as much luck with him as you do with those swords you polish off rust. As in, it's all rust. No
Who
offense,
knows?
of course.
Oh, my swords aren't offended.
I meant the I meant the crossbow person, but whatever.
None taken. It's been a while.
All right. So if you all head to the library, Calder will come along with you and possibly find some books and settle down somewhere to do some reading.
Does Kane go with us to the library, like, right away?
He's gonna do his little coffee thing first.
Okay. Yeah, Alsana will also mention she has some stuff to do before the library.
Okay.
Ah, yes. Not at all suspicious.
She mentioned a beekeeper she has to visit.
Okay.
However, she will cast Pass Without a Trace on herself.
Mhm.
And proceed to tail Kane a bit.
All right. You can go ahead and roll a stealth check. Kane.
It's gonna beat his passive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. She rolls a 1 or a 2, she passes, and that's without a dexterity modifier.
And as well, just if there's ever a point, she's willing to use Wild Shape basically to kind of get out of any situations that might be difficult for her.
All right. We'll just don't bother rolling unless you really, really want to see the number. We'll
just wanna
just
see if he
say
gets a
that you
1.
succeed. Okay.
Let's see. Do I get cat bonus?
If you're in cat form,
20.
you use cat stealth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Okay. You're pretty confident Kane has not noticed you.
Cat has climb speed. Roofs might be trotted along.
Yeah.
Oh, and
It's
sorry,
cold.
cat bonus 22. Sorry, cat
Oh.
bonus plus proficiency 24.
You maintain your proficiency bonus 25.
25.
Yeah. Okay.
Cat without a trace.
But
It is absolutely. Despite being a
Fuck.
black cat in a relatively snow-covered city, you're still managing to find those patches where the shadows are a little deeper or where the snow had melted away a bit and revealed some darkened wood or stone. And Kane is maybe not paying that much attention. So,
You know what? In this
Are
situation,
we-
she might have taken like more of a speckled cat as well, just to add the little extra camouflage.
yeah, fair enough. You can mess with your kitty appearance, I'm pretty sure, so yeah. For the sake of this, are we saying that we're skipping ahead to about the noontime hour in the meeting at the Book Nook?
I was
Or is
imagining
there-
so. Unless Ken,
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything somebody was going to be like, actually, in the morning I want to do. So. Alright. And the morning passes, and it comes time for you to leave. You do so. Alsana says something about going and seeing somebody about some bees. Takes off around the corner. You don't see her again. And you head back to about the vicinity of the library. And once again, you kind of see in the area, pretty much surrounding what was once this manor, just this small variety of various shops. There's one or two inns. There are a few different cafes. Maybe something that is a sort of a pub, but not the sort that you'd probably see somebody get tossed out of at 3 a.m. absolutely off their rocker drunk. So that is kind of the flavor of the area that you are currently in. You are probably able to find the Book Nook fairly quickly. Eloise did give you an idea of about where it was, and you see this cozy little corner cafe tucked up against a small shop of what seems to be knickknacks and sundry items and so on. Useful little things, stationery and
With our patty
basic
wax.
bookmarks and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the Patty Wax store.
Give a dog a bone. Sorry, I forgot
Yeah,
what song was drawing.
there's one extra large bone kind of hanging over something.
Yep. Yeah, they probably sell some pet goods. Who knows?
Little thing in
It's
the
a
corner.
little of everything. Yeah.
There's little like
Um,
dog cupcakes or whatever.
Okay, now we're really rolling. But Kane, you're not really looking to shop, probably. But you note that it's there, and you head into the book nook, and it is pretty much as cozy on the inside as it looks like it would be on the outside. A lot of small round tables, a few booths along one wall, a counter along another wall with a set of stools in front of it. There is seems to be a menu board written in chalk, hanging on said wall. You give it a browse. It seems mostly to be various tea blends and coffee blends. There is basically a few, a couple of like cocoa varieties. You're not really seeing anything. It's not a bar. It is absolutely a coffee shop. At most, you might see like there's a coffee blend in let's say the Azoran style with a little shot of something inside.
A little shot Kahlua or something like that.
Yeah, something.
Coffee creamer, vodka or something.
Coffee
Something
creamer,
like.
wyvern poison, coffee. You know,
Might not
we're
go that,
champions.
but no, wyvern poison is something that you would find in one of the bars where somebody might get chucked out on
One
their
of the
face at 3 in the morning.
Harder bars.
It might not be wyvern poison, but it's probably called that. So
Fair enough. Basically,
Here
basically
you get
order
unicorn foam.
Oh, that's fantastic. You order an espresso with unicorn foam and sit down at a table.
and that is what you get. You're asked if you want sprinkles on that.
He gets like a fucking Starbucks ass drink.
Yeah, he looks at the server like, "Who do you think I am? Of course I want sprinkles."
you get the little chocolate shavings on top.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Wow. That's
The
choices are
6
definitely
foot
made.
whatever half orc gets sprinkles. Of course he does.
Yeah, that's like the hipster who looks like he's in a metal band. Just like a death metal band is just like, hey, could I get like a pumpkin spice latte? It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Just like the guy who definitely looks like he's in a biker gang, like 6 feet tall, tatted to hell, just like
No
beard,
foam, low soy.
leather vest,
Look,
ripped
ask-
jeans. It's just like, can I get a rainbow latte? It's just like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Look, the instant you ask for unicorn foam, sprinkles are not a big step away, okay?
Exactly.
In
Yes.
fact, it's impolite to not have sprinkles.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
almost
it's kind of
standard.
an insult.
There's this like weird, intricate coffee political subculture.
Yeah,
I would
you've
love to
seen
see
it.
Ariel's writing on that.
Kane has barely scratched the surface.
I like to imagine this is the one kind of
we're
culture
good.
he might
There's
actually
like, there's like weeks worth of like coffee lore now. It's like, oh fuck.
His very
here we
presence
go.
has started like a small Cold War in terms of like chai
No,
versus
Devin,
orange.
it's not a Cold
tea.
War. It's a cold brew war.
It's a
Uh,
cold brew war. Fuck you. Fuck
Anyways,
you.
moving on.
Yep.
I will say Kane only keeps like a small hand axe on his belt, and that's it.
Okay. Everything else in the bag, yes.
Also, cactus.
That's another thing. It's a 6 foot half orc with a satchel, okay?
Yes.
So-
He's got a
If you want
hand
to add
bag.
detail.
He's got a laptop bag.
He's got a
Yeah.
fanny pop.
It's a book bag. It came in with a book.
Yeah, he did come in with a book, I'm pretty sure.
Uh,
The one you borrowed from the library, unless you
Yeah.
left that in the inn. So yeah,
No, he's not going to leave his
got it. Oh
library
no,
book behind. It's irresponsible.
exactly. All right, so it takes a minute or two for your coffee to be made.
are the
It
reading
seems to be
glasses he has
gathering-
thick-rimmed?
No, they're very thin. They're very tiny and barely fit his face.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Yes.
of course it is.
That's also good. So you, it takes a few minutes. Luckily, you got to the front of the line, but it's So you got there a little bit before the lunch rush, it seems, but not by far. So you find an empty table. Eloise doesn't seem to be here yet. Sit down with your cup of coffee and your book, and you settle in to wait. You don't wait very long before there's a little finger tap on the table. You look up, and Eloise is standing there with a smile. Is this seat taken?
Not at all. Although I will recommend whatever you get here, get the uniform film.
Oh, I already did. And a pixie stick.
They have those here?
Oh my goodness.
And she kind of shifts what looks like it's basically a thin stick of peppermint used as a swivel, as both the swizzle stick and to add a little bit of flavor.
He just looks at her like, good lord, you really are a genius.
The cat sat atop a bookcase, like, looks at the drinks and makes a gagging motion. There's like a light meow that is subtitled.
Yes,
I cannot even.
coffee black like the core of her.
Yes.
Jesus.
There's a cat.
She says it out loud every time she drinks coffee, too.
There's a cat meow with subtitles of, oh my god, I can't believe the amount of sugar that's probably in that.
Okay, this cane here on Meow.
It looked at the camera, that was fourth wall breaking.
Okay, just making sure,
Yeah.
because does Kane notice a cat in the coffee shop?
I would say at
That was
this
plus
point,
25 stealth.
yeah, it's 25 stealth, and also, honestly, the coffee shop is getting fairly crowded with the lunch group from what seems to be a lot of like the scribes on break from the library, and also people coming in from just various areas nearby. It's not absolutely packed. It's not hopping to that degree, but there is kind of this comfortable murmur of sound surrounding and filling the room. So yes, even if Alsana had been a little, you probably wouldn't have picked up on it in
Okay.
all likelihood.
Just checking.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a dead silent area, and you heard the pin drop.
I will say, he is suspicious of animals in general right now. He knows Alsana. He knows there's probably something going on.
Well, you can make a perception check by all means.
I can't make a perception check high enough, but I'll make it anyways.
All right.
It's a magically stealthy calico cat.
23. Oh. You think for an instant you see a flicker of movement high up on a shelf, but you glance up there and you just see there's this potted plant, kind of with trailing leaves coming off the shelf. A couple of bottle knickknacks next to it. Probably one of the leaves shifted.
Looking around. This really is a cozy place. Come here often?
Yeah, a little bit of a favor. Yeah, excuse me. Excuse you. It's a kind of a favorite. Me and a lot of others who work at the library or around. They've got some really good coffees, and well, if you're hungry, they've got these like croissant sandwich things.
His eyes are kind of just narrowing. It's like, okay, you are making it very hard to know that I'm leaving in a couple days.
Oh. So, I guess, what brought you to Sorren then?
A stop along the way mainly. Yeah. And down to Lyrie, and then probably Windsor Thor. Gonna be a bit of a trek, and nearest big city is this one.
Well, that makes sense. Are you, I mean, I've seen you've carried weapons. Are you a bard sword, or is one of your friends, perhaps? It's an assumption, I know, but Windsor Thor is kind of the place for bards and minstrels and musicians of all kinds, performers and entertainers.
Shall I assume a bard sword is as literal as it sounds?
Well, it covers quite a lot of ground. Pretty much anybody who would want to put on a show of some kind. They love performances, arts, pretty much of any sort.
Okay.
Yeah, no, center of attention be my sister. I'm more of a muscle/boat driver.
cat like takes out a quill and a piece of paper and starts writing this information down because it's actually relevant to what they might be doing.
As a cat.
Not actually.
There's mental notes happening. There's a little thought bubble floating above the cat.
Assume
with this
any
happening in it.
feline-based aside is out of character.
Okay. I'm sitting here going, how exactly are you pulling? Okay.
That being said, I would love to see that happen anyways.
Hey, if her wild shape works on cartoon logic, I am happy, but I doubt it.
Yeah, only in her imagination. Little thought bubbles.
This is the kind of cat dreams you get from sitting down too long.
The cat has at least a bit of expression to it, though.
Yeah.
It's one of those cats that look like it has eyebrows.
Like the paws go over the mouth when there's the, so you come here often.
Yep. Anyway, as was just being said before sidetracking happened, you learned that little bit about Windsor. You mentioned being more of a boat person. She would probably ask you where else you have been in that case, where you came from.
He kind of just tilts his head side to side and say, I mean, born in Tanagar, spent a few years in the Broken Hills, and then moved to more in the Moormarsh.
I'm not really familiar with a lot of those places. Tanagar.
Down by south of the Deep Thicket.
Oh, the Deep Thicket. Yes. I've heard some stories about that. Is it true what they say about all the animals being enormous, twice as large as anywhere else?
When I was a kid, it's about that way. I can't say for sure. I left pretty young.
And the Broken Hills. Bit of a rough place.
Mm-hmm.
I've not really heard about Moor or Moormarsh. What's it like?
So you know in the summer when there's a bunch of mosquitoes, and black flies, and things like that?
Yes.
They never leave.
That
But
doesn't sound very pleasant.
no, the area isn't, but to make up for it, the people are nicer than anywhere else I've ever been. Very neighborly area.
Well, that's good.
I find it a bit weird being in the bigger cities nowadays. Everyone feels so tense.
Yes, the more people you get around you, the more you value your space, I suppose. Just as a general rule. I'm sure you might understand at least a little bit having a younger sister.
Older
That
sister.
sort of. Oh,
But, yes.
I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have assumed.
Oh no, it's alright. She's smaller and dainty and dangerous. Kind of the smaller sister type.
I know a little bit, but mine's not really dangerous.
No? You have a sister as well?
Yes, bit younger than me. Myra. She's actually already married, out of the house. No children yet, but, well, our mother has hopes.
What kind of hopes she have for you?
Probably that I don't know. She seems satisfied with Myra for now. And she's glad that I'm doing something I enjoy so much in the library, and, well, I like helping people learn things.
Is your father just as supportive?
He was. He did pass a couple years ago. Not long after Myra married. Got a bad bout of coughing sickness that came through, and, well, never quite recovered. Next time he caught a cold, nothing really seemed to help.
Sorry to hear.
Oh.
Mind if I ask a strange question?
I suppose, if I can return that favor.
Sure. What's it like growing up with a mother?
Oh, well, I don't know how to put it into words. Maybe I just I don't know what it's like to grow up without one.
Can't imagine her being gone type of thing.
Yes. It's well, for me, I suppose we are close. Me and Myra, mother. I know that it's not always the case, mothers and children. But I got a good one.
Glad to hear. And I believe I owe you a question now.
To be fair, I did already ask you a few about where you've been and where you're from, and I know where you're going. You mentioned that. I guess, is there a reason for traveling during the winter? It must be important, or something that you really want to do. Maybe something to test to see if it can be done. I've read plenty of those stories.
I'm a fan of those stories, but not precisely my goal. Though if I tell you, you have to promise not to laugh at me. Or at least not laugh too hard.
Let me guess. You are taking up a new career in axe juggling, and you're seeking out a master in the craft in Windsor.
Oh, precisely. Sir Axe Juggler Six Fingers is the one I'm seeking out. No, not quite.
The best of this lot, yes.
Well, not as good as Seven Fingers.
Oh, I didn't know he was still alive.
Well, he was. Had to change his name when he chopped off his other hand. But Seven Fingers on one hand really makes you a good juggler.
I imagine it might. But yes, I'll try not to laugh too much.
Well, it's a bit of a pseudo-spiritual journey. Or mainly the people I'm traveling with, but I'm helping it where I can and seeing what I can figure out for myself. Believe it or not, I'm more than just a lug.
Oh, I believe that. You don't really get a lot of lugs in the library, at least not actually asking questions and looking for books themselves.
Well, the journey to becoming not a lug is a difficult one. Kind of hard to do it alone.
Well, at least you have your sister, as much as you might complain. And as justified as the complaints may or may not be. That's
Oh,
up
you don't
to
know
you.
the half of it.
I suppose I don't.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you three things. One of them is a lie. I want you to guess which one.
All right. Go ahead.
I've been struck by lightning multiple times this week. My sister was a genuinely nice person as a child. And I've wrestled a gator and tore its tooth out and killed it with it.
All right. I can believe the alligator part. It seems
tooth necklace.
a bit much. Yep. All right. There's that. Of the other two, one very clearly stands out in tone from the others, and either you are pulling a very good bluff, double bluff, really, or that stands out because you hold it to be true. And given our last topic of conversation, are you saying your sister has never been genuinely nice?
Not to me.
I've got some doubts, but I can't speak for it for certain. I don't know her that well yet.
You want to guess who struck me with lightning?
Really?
Yes. To be fair, I sort of deserved it. But, it's always kind of been like that.
Well, you never quite grew out of it as a child? Because honestly, I can think of several incidents when we were both younger. If I had magic of that sort, might have tried to. I might have tried to throw a few sparks Myra's way.
I mean, I don't recall if she was particularly magical as a child, but she was always just as,
She froze your pants solid one time.
Sorry?
She froze your pants solid one time, probably.
She was always just a bit, mean with what she could do, let's just say. I was a bit of a little shit, but I feel like what I got wasn't warranted all the time. But that's just sisters for you, I guess. Got a lot of family.
suppose. Yes. There was one time, Myra never really minded crawling things. I went through a phase when I was younger. I'm still not keen on them, but at the time I absolutely could not stand worms or frogs or anything that was uh, anything that wiggled too much and
Just raises
had
an
slime.
eyebrow.
Yes, you can probably guess where this is going.
I experienced it as well last week.
Oh, yes. Short of it was, Myra would at any given opportunity try to sneak a frog into my bed or worms down into my socks or the like, and stand back as I shrieked. I
Nice.
usually tried to get back at her by sometimes I would tie some of her clothing in knots, other times I would throw it up onto the roof where she couldn't get to it. She didn't like heights.
So hold on, you mentioned frogs. What do you have against frogs? They don't wiggle. Hop.
At the time, when I was little one, I think just it was how quickly and suddenly they moved. And one leapt out of Myra's hands as she was showing and straight onto my shirt, and I think I panicked, and I never really liked them since. They're all right now. I'm not going to panic if I see one.
Well, I'd
I
hope
think
not.
I think I'd have to be forgiven for not wanting to pet it or hold it.
They aren't the best pet, I'll admit, but back in the Marsh, pretty common. I kind of just hop about, however, and you find one in your boot, just shake your boot, and it's not there anymore.
I imagine they must like it, all of those flies and things they like to eat.
Oh yeah, and they're honestly not that bad to have around. It keeps the bugs down, just like you mentioned.
Oh, everything's got its place to be. So, do you have any interesting stories from your journeys? Anything adventurous?
How adventurous are you talking? Do you want something I could write into a book or something that could make a good joke?
I'll take either.
Well, okay, so there was one time where hunting around the Moor Marsh, just helping people get across the water. It's how I made a living. Strange young woman. She. Oh,
Conrad, you're lagging.
But
Yeah, you're lagging, dude.
We lost him.
Uh-oh. Strange woman. Oh. Nope. He's still going.
Child.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Just-
There it is.
Good music.
Yep, I figured the last one was too somber. Let's do something a little brighter. Conrad is out. Conrad's back in.
Test.
There you are.
There we
All
go.
right,
Sorry about
this
that.
one time in the Moor Marsh, a strange woman.
Yes. Strange young woman. Never harmful in any way, just a bit not right, I think. She was kind. She settled down with a nice man who was able to settle with her oddities. Helping them across the marsh. little prayer area people go to a lot. And on the way back, neither of them realized that they had left their 6-month-old child behind in the cradle. So the night after, middle of the night, they come knocking on my door, begging me to go back and make sure the child's okay and bring it back to them. Go there. What do I find?
We lost him again.
What do I find? But
They're large.
large.
Looking thing?
A large robot.
God damn it.
We caught some of it. What do you find but a large... What? He's gone. He's back.
Test.
Yep.
Yes. You found a large what?
Rather large, rodent-looking thing. I want to say like a capybara or something along those lines.
Oh, this has been the day.
I don't know. It was weird. No, a rat and a bear.
Halfway between a rat and a bear, and that's it.
Yep.
Test.
Test.
There we go.
Oh, nope.
Dear
I found
God.
this large. Oh my God.
So while we're waiting, real quick, can Alsana give a glance at, I swear I'm gonna remember her name. Oh, what's her name? Damn it.
Eloise.
Eloise. Did she look like nicely dressed up at all?
Yeah, she seems to be wearing... It's not the same dress as yesterday, but it's kind of on the same vein. It's, everything looks clean, well-pressed. There's that little bit of embroidery around the cuffs and the collars. She's once again got her hair... it's not quite in the bun, the keep it out of the way bun. It's more in a loose braid behind her back.
Just the marks of more effort in the morning.
Yep.
Cat continues to take notes with its large quill and piece of paper.
Yep. Cat is paying very much attention to everything. As Kane recounts a tale of returning to find the small baby accidentally abandoned and apparently being taken care of by a strange, presumably friendly mammal.
Seems like it was nursing the child, which was odd. I don't know how bad their eyesight must be, but I scared off the large one and brought them their kid back, and they were happy to see it. But ever since that day, we just have small animals flock to that child.
I wonder if there was some magic in that creature, whatever it was.
Wouldn't be surprised, but it's nothing like we've ever seen before. Maybe once or twice.
Well, you can't see everything. There's probably a lot of things that are nothing like you've seen before out there.
Probably. And things I've seen before that I'm just not seeing right now.
Mhm.
But, speaking of things I haven't seen yet, should we potentially discuss Southeast? I was still a bit curious to pick your brain there.
Alright, what would you like to know?
Really for now, anything about the Green River. As we mentioned, it's our next stop, and we don't know anything about it.
Green River. Let me see.
Or the area surrounding, really.
Yep, she is kind of able to recount mostly things that you've heard before about the legend of the dragon, the stories about where the green might come from. She's got a small variety of small tales. Nothing really concrete, but she shares a few legends she's heard of, this bard camping out in one of the Golden Hills and coming back inspired or something, or that one stumbling across this this area of extremely chaotic magic and stumbling back out again with his hair turned pink and bubbles are coming out of his mouth or the like. For the most part, though, it's aside from the stuff that you've already picked up through your research, especially Alsana, for the most part, it's stuff you've already heard, or it's amusing little tales and possibly apocryphal anecdotes.
Little side things that maybe heard more in a local sense rather than a library sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask, is this kind of strange magic mostly around the Golden Hills?
Well, it really depends on the stories you look into, and some of them strange magic is everywhere. I've heard tales of even Deep Thicket, which you grew up alongside, with the enormous beasts and the guardian that watches over them, and her magical stag from another land, and gods and fairies and all their works in every corner.
Cat gives appreciative for the mention of that story.
I guess there's oddities and magic everywhere, right?
Yes.
Although,
Well, just about everywhere. Most people don't have to deal with them. Just day-to-day life.
that's true. Although, speaking of odd magic, what do you know about the blights that were around here recently? I know it's not affecting Sorren as much, but the surrounding towns.
Yes, we heard a little bit about that. Well, a lot about that. The Drake Run runs very close to Sorren, and there was some worry about whether it would spread to and beyond the river and what that could do to roads and trade routes, and you hear people talk. I don't know. Word was spread this last month that the blights had been dealt with, or whatever their source was, so hopefully we don't have to worry about that anymore. There was a little bit of fear for a while that even with Sorren's walls, even with people going out, cutting back the wood and burning it back, sometimes it would grow to spread all around us and just overtake the town entirely.
I heard a lot of that kind of stuff back in Walton I was traveling through.
Yeah, Walton was lucky. There were some other small villages that one day they were there, and the next time anybody went looking or searching for word, they were gone.
And, how confident is how reliably think the rumors are that the blights aren't going to come back?
Well, it's been a few weeks, and nobody's sighted any from the walls. We usually used to... Well, the guards used to see some, occasionally. The cutters went out and chopped back what growth there was, but they haven't had to for pretty much that amount of time as well. So far it seems like everything's gone back to normal, but we're keeping an eye out for now, I think. I'm not really one of the guards, but again, you hear things.
I imagine you have a much better run. Would you mind, friends in Walton?
You're like,
Friend of
Yep.
mine, kids. If you hear about the blights
laggy.
back at all, would you be able to send me a letter? Ah, shit.
If she hears about the blight, send you a letter via Walton? Conrad, you're gone.
Can't hear you. Maybe type in the chat.
Well, she'll agree and ask where to send it. I don't know if you heard me. I think he popped out and back in.
I
She'll
think
ask. She'll ask where to send it if that's the case.
kind of put his head side to side and say, if it's not in the next, say, month or so, go ahead and send it to Threshold. And
Oh, your sister mentioned that. Potentially, if I needed to, sending letters to Threshold and passing them on to you that way?
it's the best bet that I'll find it at some point, honestly. That was the beginning of our little spiritual journey. Probably gonna be the place we head to at the end, too.
Well, alright. I hope if it's urgent, they'll be able to get it to you quickly.
I imagine so. If you mention my name, at least on the front of it, I'm sure they'll get it to me with vague expediency.
Well, I'm hardly going to send a letter without any sort of recipient on the envelope.
The cat chuckles at this.
Yeah, Conrad is laggy too.
Cat thinks to herself, huh, that's a really good excuse to get in there. Smooth moves.
Alright, and for the sake of the lag, we're going to go ahead and say that for the
Nice
next
conversation.
while, yep, nice conversations are had. Potentially, there's promise to send letters, at the very least, with interesting information. Eloise mentions that it would be nice to hear back from time to time if you'd like to. We talk a little bit more about family, about growing up in various households with sisters, younger or older as they may be, with or without magic. Eloise might mention looking into a bit of magic herself, just out of curiosity and interest. But aside from that, that would probably be about it, unless she offers to perhaps go on a little walk around town with you, and whether you would accept or not.
He'd probably accept and just kind of
Yep.
refer to the fact he'd like to head to the library after the end of it, so maybe in that direction at the end.
Yep. You're right near the library at the start, so
Yeah,
she
so
doesn't take you
walk
all the way
around for a
around.
while, but
Yeah, not all the way around town. She points out a few places of interest, places she likes. A garden, public garden area, which is pretty much just mounds of snow and dripping icicles at the moment, but which she assures you is beautiful in the right times of year.
The cat drops form as they leave the shop.
Okay.
And if they are doing like a round around the town, Alsan will kind of trail off and leave them go. If she gets nearby where a familiar friend might be.
All right.
Or at least nearby the direction to leave from.
All right. You are heading towards the person with the bees, yes?
Yes.
Okay. She's a little bit more towards the edge of town, close to Sorren, close to the forest gate. You go there, and there's a little bit of smoke coming out of her chimney. So someone is home. You can knock, knock, and
Tap, tap on the door.
Yep. Answering the door is one Navira Mathalas.
Just
She
kind of
looks out. Oh,
creaks open. Hello.
oh, hello. I'm surprised to see you. I thought that you were gone from town.
Yes, I left and then I came back. Just a quick stop, but I felt it'd be rude if I didn't say hi.
Well, no trouble at all. Do you want to come in for some tea?
Oh, if you're offering.
Well, I'm not going to leave you standing on the doorstep if you come all this way just to say hello. She invites you in. Fixie tea, a cup of tea with honey, of course, if you'd like it.
Of course. She'll.
Yep.
Just a little bit, but yes.
Yep. And she'll sit down. Is there anything you wanted to talk about, or just curious about the bees again?
Vaguely. Do you know much of, I had vague ideas on it. Do you know much about honey and the use in alchemy and the like?
I'm not an expert, but I've sold supplies. I can tell you at least a few ideas. Common ones. It's... Well, from what I understand, it's usually very good in anything to do with healing, anything against illnesses, anything with any connotation of purity or purifying magic. Honey doesn't go bad, you know, so I guess there's a little bit of magic in there. It binds to magic well. It's not really rare or valuable enough, though, to make a base by itself, I think. I think everybody just mixes a little bit in to help things along. And also to make potions maybe that little bit more palatable.
I imagine so. Out of curiosity, have you at all visited the little spot I pointed them out to you on?
Oh no, I'm afraid I haven't.
Much, but...
I haven't really had the time, and I'm not too fond of all of the snow. I'm waiting for it to melt and perhaps the worst of the slush to clear up. But I do intend to go and look.
Right, of course. Especially with the rumors of blight being vanquished and all that.
Oh, that as well. I'd like to make sure that they are not just rumors.
Don't worry, I already did, but I am very appreciative of your double and triple checking.
Well, gotta do it for the bees.
Are there any bees, like, in the room at all?
Not really. The beehives are kind of built onto the back of the house. They're silent. There's their sleeping time.
Alright. Just wonder if, like, a lone wanderer kind of zipped in into a window or anything.
Not at the moment. They're a little bit sedentary right now.
Alright. Well, I think I'm going to be heading off a bit to the east, off to, well, lounge around Lyrie and Green River.
Well,
Oh, and
wish
also,
you luck.
Oh, I forgot. I meant to mention. That I came across another let's say, aspiring wielder of magic.
Really?
It's a young girl scribe in the library.
Oh, nature magic? Like, kind of what I do, and you do?
I'm not sure. She hasn't really shown much of anything, but I get the little spark from her. And her pursuit would be in the more, let's say, casual sense that you as well are going for. I suppose just something to keep an eye out for if ever there's any difficulties and you're not, maybe if you want a more direct response than contacting me, maybe you can find someone who's kind of along the same journey.
Well, I can look into it. Do you know her name?
The character does, the player keeps forgetting it for some reason. I don't know why.
Eloise.
Starts with a vowel. I know that much.
Even I'm remembering that one, man. Come on.
Eloise.
I have found
it's on the sheet.
Weakness.
It's on the sheet. I don't know why.
Just write it in great big letters on some kind of post-it note and put it where you see it for this game. But yes, Eloise. That is the only name you can give her. You do not know her last name, or if she even has one.
Did it come out? It didn't come up at all during the little library talk. She did bring up her sister and her family.
She did. It might depend on if she and Kane, I guess, went, oh, hey, I didn't do the formal introduction.
D20?
Sure, let's do D20. Do you want to roll it? See what your luck is?
Sure, why not? 16.
Yeah, it was brought up. So she is Eloise Gladstone. Gladstone.
I-N or O-N?
O-N.
Spelled exactly as you'd expect from the
Pretty
rest
much.
of it. All right.
Yep.
All right. Yep.
Except for the silent P. I'm kidding.
I'm starting to sweat, Ariel.
Oh god, here we
I'm
go
like-
with the names.
I'm like, put
Nope.
Gladstone, Gladstone.
Gladstone. Yeah, just as just like
No.
a silent piece. It's just like
Gladstone.
there's a couple umlauts in there. It's fine. It's okay. It's like,
that
oh
AE
no,
thing.
please, Ariel. Yeah, it's like Ariel, please no. Just like
I'm
it's just making it more complicated as it goes.
I'm sparing you, okay? That was a joke. It is a straightforward name. Look at that.
I'm sorry, what was your dragon gnome's name again in this game?
Miashka Kladu.
Yeah,
But I gave you
have
a
no
nickname.
quarter in this area.
You're sparing us. Yeah, sure, Ariel.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways,
Alright,
she
Do you want me to come up with crazy names? I can do it.
she gives the name.
No.
Here's the thing, I'm not gonna remember them either way, so I'm impartial.
Okay.
She brings up the name and she also goes, and also just I've not met her, but I heard a vague rumor and telling, with her sister. I believe the name is Myra.
Yes.
I'd have to. I might go check her myself. But I have the slightest inkling that she could be, no pun intended, a bit more in line with your brand of magic. A bit more of the nature aspect, like, well, me.
I don't know a Myra Gladstone, but I think
she is
that
married.
there's-
I think the last name might have changed actually.
Oh. Do you know what her husband does as a living? It might have been brought up.
D20 again.
Yeah, D20.
Alright,
Let's see your luck.
10.
10. You kind of got the impression that he owns some kind of business. You're not quite sure though if it's like another cafe or an actual pub or tavern or something like that. There was something about, making drinks in there somewhere.
He's he owns something. It was a passing conversation. Just in her own head, not entirely my own.
Yep.
And once again, just I'm less meaning to seek them out and more should they walk in your front door. Well, don't be afraid to pass forward my little, shall we call it an obsession? Maybe an obsession. Want to spread magical knowledge.
Well, if I ever have reason to look her up, I suppose I'll look in, but I hope you're not expecting a lot from me in terms of tutoring. I only know...
Don't worry, dear.
Well,
Although, speaking of which, how were those, basic lessons I outlined you going?
actually, very helpful.
Oh?
Yes, I hadn't really thought about the magic in quite those terms before.
Just like
And you-
leaning forward at the table.
And you mentioned that you could... Didn't you mention last time you could turn into animals?
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Why do you ask?
Can you turn into bees and you turn teach me to do that.
She like kind of like scratches her chin. Can she turn into AB?
You can turn into AB if you are beyond the flight restriction.
I don't think she is yet.
Yeah.
The issue with that is animals who can fly, they're complicated, unfortunately.
Oh.
And I've not come across much of a flightless bee. If there are breeds,
Yeah,
feel
not
free
really.
to let me know, but
Wouldn't be of much use for me, I'm afraid. I was thinking in terms of just being able to work directly alongside or communicate better with my own, which do have flight. Well, no matter.
For the purposes of that, there are more direct spells.
Really?
Things that allow you less. You get mainly the feelings and thoughts and ideas, right?
Not quite. I can calm down something that's not happy with me. I can become friends with it, so to speak.
Ah, that. Okay. Yes, there's a few levels going up. There is the more basic one, which frankly allows you a direct line of conversation. Person to be, as it were.
Well,
I believe if you say what you're going after, that might be a good place to start. It is a fairly rudimentary spell, one of the easier ones to learn.
do you have a little time? Would you mind teaching me?
Oh, my dear, you never need to. I would love to.
If you're about to say I never need to ask, I sort of do. How else am I going to indicate that I'd like to learn?
As long as it's in with my bounds of possibility, I will be happy to.
Alright. You can spend probably an hour, maybe a few more, teaching her the rudimentary spell work for something like speak with animals. Yes.
And she will mention there is a let's say an easier variation, one that doesn't take as much out of you, although it takes a bit of preparation to do so. I can do it in 10 minutes. It could very well take you longer. But it does when you get higher up, there's certain reserves you have to draw on, and doing the more long form stuff lets you not have to pull on those as much. And considering you probably haven't flexed those magical muscles as much, it might be easier for you.
Alright. She is a willing and interested student. She's got that little bit of talent you noticed before. She just hasn't kind of had the tutoring or the occasion to practice a lot of it. So she is still, however, advancing as she starts to pick up the gist of things.
As well, if Alsana can you write out like a very rough kind of paper plan for B-Sense?
Possibly. Go ahead and roll me a I would say it's both 2 checks, wisdom and intelligence. Wisdom because it's your spellcasting modifier and it's how you understand the spell's work. Intelligence for being able to convey it
Arcana
clearly.
in this much?
Yeah, let's go ahead and say it's Arcana. I'll allow you your Arcana proficiency.
Spellcasting and Arcana. Okay.
Yep.
Good old guidance.
Okay. I will say this only applies to one of them, and you have to pick which one it is, because you're kind of doing both at once.
Yeah, in which case you'll go with the wisdom.
Okay.
So start with that.
Yeah.
Whee!
Oh, nice. Get that D4 on there for wisdom check.
21, 25.
All right. Despite the very...
Hello, welcome to my TED Talk on Speak with Animals.
Exactly. Despite the very different nature of something like druid magic, where it is so much based on experience on showing and passing things down directly as a tradition. Being so divorced from wizard-like magic, where things are written down, where things are put as instructions and are meant to be read and absorbed that way, you manage to somehow convey a very natural, very druid or ranger or that sort of spell in a format which usually is for the bookworms, but even then you manage to make that format so clear-cut and straightforward that somebody doesn't have to be wizard-level intelligence in order to grasp what you're saying, especially if they're coming from a place where the nature magic might be a little instinctual. So,
You see, my dear, you've already got the, let's say the building blocks in place. Just the way you live your life, but, well, just look in a bit of a new context.
you spend a good chunk of the afternoon tutoring. Navira is very grateful. She sends you on your way after all is done and evening starts coming with, yes?
If there's any, like, light progress that's made, like there's a little spark of magic from her fingers or everything, all of a sudden we'll, like, happily hug her.
All right. Alsana has a Magicu friend, student, something.
Yep.
And she is very pleased to be learning what she is. She sends you off with a piece of honeycomb wrapped in some waxed paper for a snack, and then another small jar of honey for experimenting.
Yep, and she'll also just, like I said before, if she can, do, like, very rudimentary, just like, hey, if you take to this even faster than expected, here's a bit extra, for B-Sense. In just the, ability to, you know, look and see through another... Actually, hold on.
That is Beast Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but sorry, I just know I have another first level. Oh, sorry, no, that's a second level spell. Beast Bond is what I'm going for.
We'll say that you went Beast Bond, and
Yeah, which is another first level. But...
Yeah.
But yes, she'll kind of get those. Just the kind of like a very basic outline, like, hey, if you're feeling plucky and are wanting to kind of, if you've got not much else to do, here's a little extra.
Mm.
But she is very happy and she's very proud of her, and she makes that known.
Okay. It is received loud and clear.
And, yep, says goodbye, wishes her the best, and takes her with the honeycomb and goes on her way.
Okay.
She will head to the library.
All right, then.
It's kind of near the end.
Yeah, by this time, Kane and Eloise are getting back. Elaris and Calda have pretty much spent their day as they might wish to.
Lars get up to anything?
Not really, other than, like, do a little more research, but, like, it is... Ugh.
Come on, one more roll.
You did a little poking around. Do you want to make it a d20 for sheer luck?
You could have an advantage, maybe, because Calda's helping you.
I'll do a d20 for Calda for luck, and
Okay.
Elaris can do a d20. This is just to see if you accidentally stumble across anything rather than focused research.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Alright.
Lars D20.
Yeah, I know.
It's a Canadian
The
in a
tin
can.
can microphone return.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can?
Elaris, don't really find much of use, I guess. You learned some stuff about, like, the farming, imports, exports, etc. in the area. That's about it.
The book on bees.
There is a book on bees. And you kind of look at it and go, who would want to know that? And
Who
put it
cares
back on the
about
shelf.
bees?
Damn, killing all those twiglets made me lose brain cells.
You might have been whacked over the head a few times, I don't know. Depends on
What is
how
it with
close.
you?
Yeah.
My characters beat up children. Your characters just get concussions.
The
All
characters
of
are
them.
bastards.
Oh, yeah, no, all of them do. Yeah, that's basic.
Yeah, I'll say with the 16 luck roll, Calda, yeah, she's not finding, like, the holy grail of all information. She does find, like, a few interesting things. A few more myths and legends, some more stuff about the history of Azora, of its rule by Vaestrin, that dragon, and how there was actually, like, this cult of humanoids that absolutely followed Vaestrin as if he were himself a
Ooh.
god at the
Alright.
time. It was ages ago.
It's called
They,
that name.
uh,
There is, but no one can pronounce it anymore, so it doesn't exist.
The Green Party.
Boo.
I guess you could call that if you wanted to. I'm gonna say with a 16, she didn't quite get the name, just that they existed. But
Alright.
about when Vaestrin was overthrown and killed, this cult that pretty much had made themselves not only his followers but his, like, guards and warriors and so forth. A little bit fanatical
Little
in that
royal
way.
guard around him.
Yeah, they were also pretty much taken down too. Some branches might have survived for a while afterwards, but they seem to have died off, and at best there might be rumor of, oh, one's still around, but it's kind of an urban legend, conspiracy theorist sort of thing in the tone of things she's reading.
I have in my notes, Vaestrin, old green dragon king of Azora, and in brackets, cult, question mark? So,
Alright.
I feel like everything can have cult question mark at the end of it. It'd be better off.
near the end, Alsana will head to the library,
Mhm.
and she'll check if her other aspiring pupil is in.
Alright, go ahead and do a perception check. As you're
Alright.
looking around, trying to search for a very particular person in this room.
Uh,
12. Yeah, you don't actually see this person immediately in the room, but if you ask at the desk, he is working that night.
Right.
Or at least that evening. It might be getting close to library shut doors time.
Yep. And she'll just kind of like lean into like maybe the front desk or something. Just like, I know where Uthamar is.
I believe he went to, oh, which way did he go? I think he's over in the financial section trying to help a customer.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much.
Yep, you head over there, and Uthamar's just finished showing a patron where to find some book that they were after. Turns around and sees you and lights
Hello,
up.
dear.
Hello! Hi! Hey! I didn't realize you were back.
It's just a quick stop back here. I'm here with some friends this time, and we're heading back rather soon, but thought it'd be mean if I didn't say hello.
Yeah, well, thanks. Hello, and if you're heading off, then I suppose unless you guys are gonna come back, might not see you again until I, head off myself.
That as well.
Oh, I've been working on a few of those spells from that book.
Oh, do tell, do
if you
tell.
wanna... Yeah, here, hold on, I've got it in this, and he's reaching around to a pouch at his side and hauls out this book with the little odd little stain in the front, on the front corner, corner of the front cover. Flips it open, balances it precariously in one hand, kind of flip, 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 flip back and forth until, oh, there it is. All right, I think that it's a little like this, and he starts trying to do a few gestures in the air.
Alsana lightly prepares herself to like catch a firebolt that might go for a nearby stack of books.
All right.
Just a quick. Just taps herself real quick, like, let's just
Okay.
make sure this doesn't get out of hand. but she's also kind of bouncing on the heels of her feet excitedly.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll to see how he does. Let's go ahead and give him a 2 in there. Yeah, it's good enough to at least get a little something out there. He finishes waving his hands, kind of pulls out of his pocket a little bit of powder that seems to be blue in color, throws it in the air, and there's this little flash of colored light springing around where his hands were. It doesn't go out very far. It doesn't really reach anybody, but you get the sense that it's trying to spray outwards. And he looks up, looks down at the book. I think that was supposed to go out further. Yeah, sorry. I think this thing says that it's supposed to blind whatever sees it.
And she stops and then just kind of goes and hugs him.
At least if they're... Whoa,
Doing
okay.
so good.
Thanks. I think I got it a lot better when I tried it the other day. Yeah, it actually...
Don't worry, I believe you. Oh, I'm sure you'll do great. You'll only get better.
Well, I've got to practice all I can if I'm going to get all the way down to Veravale and the libraries there and, maybe find a teacher or something.
There are some good resources there, very good. Especially for what you're going for. I do also, for when you plan on going out, kind of making your big entrance out into the world, could I ask a small favor?
Sure. What is it?
I believe you're, I guess scroll and find the name. I know you work with her, but, do you know, Eloise very well?
Not very, very well, but yeah, we've had a few shifts.
I've kind of, I've given her the bug as well, let's say, for magic. Just a little
Really?
bit, more of a casual interest than really what you're going off for, but...
Huh.
Just, if you happen to be sharing a shift with her at any time before you head out, maybe just share some notes, from your wonderful little book there. Tell her I sent you.
Sure. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out some of my cousin's notation myself, but, the bits I have cracked, I'll go ahead and jot them down and see if she's, she wants to try to figure it out too.
I'm not quite sure exactly what type of magic she best fits, but just raw guessing and, being the bookish type, I'd imagine it'd be in line with what you're going for.
Well, I'll try and pick out an assortment of things I've figured out and I'm close to, and, well, you can see.
Just the raw basics. Do you have a mending spell in there at all?
Mending. He's flipping back and forth, mending. I don't think... Is that an actual spell? Because I don't think he wrote anything like that down.
It's a basic little cantrip that lets you do basic repairs.
Oh,
of things. Return them back to
yeah.
their old forms.
I don't think he's flipping through like the earliest pages. I don't see anything about mending.
Oh, that's okay.
Got prestidigitation.
That'd be a good start, though.
And I've been practicing that one too. I think I've pretty much got it down. He looks around, points his finger at a small candle inside a lantern box nearby, and focuses and mutters a word, and poof, there goes the counter flame.
She snaps the fingers and goes back on. Pretty good.
Yep.
You try these, and she'll just produce flame on 4 of her fingers.
Yep, and if it's technically counts as a candle, torch, or a small campfire, he can snuff it out.
Just
takes him a couple of tries, but the cantrip he seems to be having an easier time.
Oh, you're doing so well. Here, have a piece of honeycomb for your efforts, and just jams it in his mouth.
I'm not supposed to get in the library, but thank you. Tries to scarf it down as quickly as he can before somebody
I
notices.
fully imagined Ariel sticking her hand in her mouth while doing that.
Actually, I didn't. I just kind of held my breath a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's not hard to just figure out and why not orientation.
Oh no, I
Just
know,
do
but
it.
I just the image of Ariel going, huh, just to get the voice is kind of
It's
hilarious.
just like cartoony whole hand in the mouth.
Basically, yeah. Or she just happens to have like an anime ass bread roll on the counter, just like, huh.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, also, I'm still visibly happy with things. Not a full-on smile because no, but she has a grin, and she's like, okay, well, let me know if there's any questions. You know how to reach me.
Yeah. I think there's a. I think there's a spell in here for that, but I think it's kind of higher level than anything I've attempted so far. Maybe once I get it figured out.
Oh, well, more so just, if you have any, you want to get a letter to me, send it on way to Threshold, and kind of have it addressed to me. Or to be delivered to me, I guess.
Threshold. Okay. Yeah.
If it's what I think it is, there's some people there who have that spell, and she kind of, like, holds up the little, charm dangling from her wrist. I do as well. Lets me send it back and forth from there rather quickly. Just gotta find a little birdie.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely do that.
But do practice the other bit, too.
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh, and as well, should you ever, in your various exploits that you may happen to go about and come across, find a, let's say, a very magical place, one with a little fountain of water. Something that, I hesitate to call it a shrine, but a kind of a pure place. You'll know it when you see it, I suppose.
Mhm.
But anything like that, please, as soon as you can, let me know.
Well, sure. If I do come across anything, then I'll
They're-
definitely try to send that message.
They're usually well hidden, but you never know what you'll stumble across.
Well, I'll keep my eyes open.
Tell you what, if you do find something and it does become helpful, I'll buy you a scroll of some sort.
Scroll. Oh, you don't. Okay, you don't actually mean like a magic scroll, right? Did I misunderstand that?
Well, there's a number of things I can come across in my travels.
Okay, that is neither a yes nor a no, but scrolls always fun, always good. Okay, yes.
That got the attention.
Well, yeah. You told a librarian you'd give him a scroll.
Yes, I'm well experienced with your type, and it's fun to play around with the types. Like a little clay figure. I just put a little spell book in your hand, and off you go into the greater world. Trying not to get
Okay.
and she like pats his shoulder.
Yeah, you saw his face kind of shift into wait, what? Wait, huh?
You are on working hours, I'll leave you to it. But
Yeah.
I wish
thanks.
you all the best.
Thanks. Try not to get squished either.
Don't worry, I'm flexible. Waves as she goes.
Okay.
What the fuck, dude?
This is Alsana. Have you met her?
No, I know. And I'm continuing to be confused by her every day.
Probably what she wants.
And then she'll kind of try her best to find and meet up with the group if anyone's still hanging around the library.
Okay. As one last note for Kane walking with Eloise, kind of towards the end as you're returning to the library, she's still pointing out various places of interest, and she points out a building just down the street from the library that it's this building of mostly wood, a little bit of a stone base, and unusually, about half of the building lot is just what seems to be a very broad, deep almost front porch with a awning of sorts, a roof hanging over it. The latter half of the building is the more enclosed, traditional. There's a door, there's a couple of windows, but it's set far enough back that it's like half of it is porch. And she points that out and goes, and that's actually Sorren Town stage. We have performances there when time of year is good for anything outdoors. During this time of year, everything is on the inside. The other half, they call it backstage, but really it works for all sorts of things, and get singing and dancing sometimes, and sometimes there's various other acts. It looks like right now there might be a smoke singer in. And she points up, and you see there's one chimney on the side that seems to be just the regular utilitarian, we have a fire in a grate, and this is to let the smoke out. However, there's another chimney right in the center of the roof, unusually. And the smoke puffing from that and flowing out in wisps seems to be in various colors. And she looks and says, would you like to go and give it a listen? The stories are always worth, well, at least some interest.
I mean, well, I think I'll have time to drop off the book after. I'm always happy to.
I don't think it'll take that long. If they're already started, they might be nearly done, in fact.
Well, then, I don't see any reason why not. Let's go.
Alright. You head up these wooden steps up the side of one side of the stage, cross it, enter the room. It's only dimly lit by a few candles, lanterns. And you see there's a small crowd of people around the edges, varying ages, quite a few children, but also various teens and adults. And you look, and in the center of the room, there is this brazier with a low flame in it, and rising from it in puffs, whirls, and streams are various colors of smoke, and standing before it is a young gnomish woman with straight dark hair, a long, somewhat pointed nose, and she's waving her hands through the smoke, almost seeming to scoop it up and shape it with just a couple of motions each time, releasing it into various forms. You see forests pop up, mountains. You see figures dancing across this almost ethereal landscape as she tells a story, the words weaving through and matching the images. You came in the middle of it. It takes you a moment to kind of catch up with what is being said, how the mage followed the darkness as it fled from plane to plane, leaping across the bounds of time and space. How the mage followed it into the plane of fire, and it tried to set the flames against her, and she whirled them into a cloak and turned the attack into protection. How she followed it then into the plane of earth, and how the shadow tried to bury her in rock and stone, but she became one with it and glided through it as though through air itself. How they went into then the plane of water, how the shadow tried to overwhelm her again, drown her, pull her into the depths, but she took the water upon herself and breathed it as though it was air and turned the attacks once again back on the shadow. And how the darkness then fled to the plane of air, where the mage was truly in her element, for she was the storm gust. And she then, without even waiting for an attack by the darkness, took that element into herself as she did the last three and turned it against the darkness once and for all. And there are more details, there are more fights and battles and struggles along the way, but the main theme was of a hero, of some time, a hero of wind and storm and magic, who leaps from plane to plane, pursuing some nameless, faceless evil, and finally vanquishes it. And the figures dancing about on these various stages as the smoke flares up red and orange in the plane of fire, how it goes level dark and in the shape of various boulders roiling across the illusory floor of this scene that's being laid for Earth. How it turns and rises into patterns of waves for water, and then whirls silver and clear and in gusts for air. Um, and the two figures, the darkness, just an amorphous blob of black smoke, occasionally showing what might be a humanoid figure, occasionally the shape of some beast or other monster, and the hero, a wisp of pale silver white smoke, more consistently humanoid shape, but always flickering and moving with the motion of smoke on wind. And it's a beautifully, richly told tale in this gnome's hands and in her voice. When you entered the room, nobody even glanced your way, not even with this brief burst of cold that followed you. They were all enthralled by the tale. You did come in the middle, so it is almost disappointingly short when it is over. But at last, the gnome lowers her hands and says, "And so the storm gust went on in her protection of this world. But that is a tale for another time." And slowly the mist and smoke in the room settles into just the nondescript gray of any ordinary smoke and slowly drifts up towards the ceiling and up through the chimney, drawn in by currents of air, perhaps magical, up into the outside sky. There's a brief murmur as people gather themselves after being immersed so much in a story. And they start to pick up a few, stop to talk to one another. If you glance your way and offer nods and little waves hellos, if you exit the room.
Nods back.
Yep.
I'll take Eloise's hand and go to walk out.
Yep. Eloise waves to the gnome and says, "Thank you, that was beautiful, Sima." And the gnome waves back, "Enjoy your day."
Okay, I'll kind of nod friendly. Head out.
As you head out, Eloise says, "That was Sima Turin. She's one of the best."
I can certainly see why.
They
I've
say that
never-
she's performed in the actual palace halls of Windsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly though she's kind of from here, so she always comes back.
I've never seen this. You call it smoke singing, right?
Smoke singing, yes. It's actually from Azora. The particular magic there, I don't know if it's actual spells that they learn or if it's... Well, I think there's some sort of powder that they throw into the brazier when they start. Maybe that's where the magic is. One way or another, it follows their commands and does what they want it to. Very simple ones that I've seen. Ones without that much control. It's a shape here, a form there. Smoke in the flickering flame, or like a jumping rabbit.
I imagine half the art is the ability to actually tell the story, not just visuals.
Oh, that too. Sima can do a lot more images than most and still keep the story going without getting distracted or off foot.
It was quite the story. I always find those I guess the word is naturalistic stories. Interesting how, in everything you read the stories about heroes, you read the stories about the gods and everything. It all, the greatest strength you can be and the greatest compliment you can have is to be related to nature. Strong as the earth itself, tall as a mountain, fast as wind. It's interesting to hear of a story of someone just made of that.
Well, it's actually a story that's. You know how sometimes there's events in history, but then stories get laid over on top of them and things are a little bit exaggerated for them?
Like the god kings and things like that.
Yes. Actually, Island Stormgust was a real person. I don't know so much about jumping from plane to plane, vanquishing shadowy evil, and drawing on the elements, but she actually, I think, created some spells that have to do with that. That's where the story came from. She was the greatest mage of the Second Era.
My sister would have a field day with that story.
Hmm.
Actually, she probably already knows it. I'd actually be surprised if she didn't already know it.
Perhaps.
She already know it.
You're not there. You don't know.
Yeah, you're not there. You're not casting your mind about for it.
I meant more.
It would be a
curiosity.
roll.
Okay.
It would be a roll.
Let's hope Game brings it up later.
You kind of start wandering towards the library, kind of musing along those lines with her, and just is ready to go inside and says, I think I'm probably gonna spend most of the rest of my day in there if you don't mind.
All right. Yes. I should probably head home. I did say that I'd take care of a few things today, and I've got a few things to pick up on the way.
I mean, need an extra hand. I can carry quite a bit. Give her a smile.
1 basket of eggs. A loaf of bread. I think I can manage, but I wouldn't mind if you wanted to tag along sometime.
Well, I mean, I couldn't let a maiden like you carry a loaf of bread all on her own, could I? Just give me a moment to drop off my book. I don't want to forget later and
Of course.
be hounded by fees. Although, depending who's doing the hounding, it won't be too bad.
Oh, you never want a librarian coming after you for a book. Never.
I thought it'd be a lot smoother coming out of my mouth, but you seem way too serious about that. I'm gonna go drop off that book.
You go in, you drop off the book at the desk, and it is checked in duly. You stop to make sure that it is, and then you head back
Sana
out.
there when he does so.
Possibly. Roll a d20 for luck.
Alrighty.
The higher, the better the chance. King Harriman now knows the fear of God.
Can
King Harriman
I
now
roll
knows
luck?
the fear of librarians. You can roll luck.
Same thing. Can I roll luck against Alsana?
She has a 10. Let's see. How would I do this? Contested roll,
Contested
nothing
luck.
changes. The higher you roll, the better you can avoid. You're avoided.
Because it's Kane's luck that he doesn't see his sister.
Yeah, pretty much. I knew what you were aiming for. But yeah, you drop off the book with no Alsana encounters. Head back out, help Eloise with just that little bit of shopping, escort her home. She thanks you for the afternoon and the evening and says she has fun, and she knows that you're going to be leaving soon, but hopes that she can see you again, and until then, she'll make sure to send some letters.
Please do. When I get back to the threshold, I'll catch up
To make someone puke in their mouth.
let you know what's happening.
You have no room to talk, John. You made a character with a wife and child.
I know. That's the fun. That's the whole.
She'll set aside and God, it's been a while since I did something like
Doesn't
this.
you see any of that happen?
You're not there.
You are far off.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But has he seen any interactions between the two?
Possibly. We'll get to that in a second.
All right, fair enough.
Not right now, though.
Right now, Kane is saying something.
I'm not lagging first, am I?
Don't think so.
Okay. I saw my voice connect and go to red bar. I'm like, oh no.
Get it out quick.
It's been a while since I did. I, entertained as expected.
Well, I had fun. I don't know about you.
Oh, I certainly enjoyed it. I'm sure as soon as I get home, I'm never going to hear the end of it, but it was not a bad thing, And
I know the feeling a little bit. I expect that my mother is currently on the other side of the window, twitching the curtain. She looks around suddenly, and yes, you do see the curtain twitch.
he'll twiddle his fingers at her.
Yep. I'm going to be getting so many questions.
Probably. Makes you feel better. You can go ahead and tell her I'm a bit of a vagabond, so probably never going to see me again, and oh, woe is you, so she doesn't bother you too much.
I don't know. She might actually bother me more.
Really. She doesn't mind that I'm,
It's hard to
gestures up and down.
Well, no. I wouldn't think so. No, it would be more along the lines of, well, why aren't you, not so much why aren't you settling down, but, well, would you think about it, and just, I don't know.
Settling down is scary and a lot to consider. Just
It
in
is.
general, I feel like.
It really is. Yes, Myra knew Zach for years before she married him.
Kane might blush just a little bit of that sentence.
I'm not expecting anything off of just one
No,
date.
no, I understand. I'm just something I haven't considered before,
These dorks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, write me back.
Guess they're all ready.
do my best. Once I get back to Threshold, I'll have more direction in where I'm going geographically and as a person. So, it may be a while, but
All right. Well, will you be heading out tomorrow, the next day?
about 2 hours, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Camping is good for the soul,
I think I'll take your word for it in the snow, in this cold.
Well, see, that's good for the circulation.
I might take your word for that, too. In my experience, it more slows down, well, circulation, I guess.
It's good practice. Although, honestly, I don't know how you Northerners handle it. It's cold as... It's horrible up here. Not gonna lie, I don't like the weather.
Well, the only answer I have for that is practice. Well, I thank you for going along with me today and everything. And
Thank
good
you for
luck.
inviting me out on the date.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck out there. She offers you a hand.
He'll take it and just... Hold
Gives
on.
it a shake.
I'm gonna have him roll real quick.
Okay.
Yep, okay. He's feeling ballsy enough. He's gonna just take it, grab the hand, and pull her in for a kiss.
Okay.
Yes!
Yep.
Yes!
There's this little eep of surprise, but she seems fairly into it, so she accepts that.
He's just gonna go, now I'm gonna go try to process what I just did. I hope to see you again.
I do too.
I apologize in advance for your mother. And he will turn around and start to walk off.
And after a moment, she turns around as well and heads in the door.
There's a little high-pitched squeal that slowly fades off.
Perhaps a little bit. All right, that being done. It's evening. It's not quite night, but it's late enough, getting towards late enough in the day. Probably time to head back to various inns or to gather up and get ready to go, as you plan.
Thana will stop by her.
As he's walking away, he's checking his breath for smelling like smoke and kind of just like, oh, that just happened. All right. Oh, fuck. Okay.
Well,
It's stuck with him. That's all she needs.
All right. What would everybody like to do with these last couple hours before you head out?
Also, I was gonna stop by the crow sparrow. What was it? Rook.
Resting Rook.
Yes.
Yes, Resting Rook.
Stop by the resting rook, pick up her stuff, thank the lady.
Yeah. Go ahead and do a quick insight check.
Oh boy.
I would say probably no guidance because it's more a like a
thing.
noticing a thing. Yeah.
6.
Yeah, okay. She looks about as nervous of you as she did when shit started, and that's it.
Just kind of like stop and she goes like, just like, I asked before, but any sickness going around at all?
Six. Not that. I mean, there's always the sniffles and coughs and rain, and I don't.
You specifically, I mean.
Me? No?
Alright. Well, have a long life. And she walks out.
You get the aura of fear behind you.
Just waves with a few sparkles.
Yeah. Leave terror in your wake. Alright, anybody else?
Kane is gonna see if that coffee shop is open, sit back down, and try to process the day.
Alright, it's in the process of closing, but you can get a late cuppa if you'd like.
He will happily take it and then head back to the inn.
Slam a unicorn frappuccino and walk back.
Hey, unicorn foam unicorn foam espresso. Okay, please. I know my order.
Alright. So everybody has gathered their things. Calda comes along, and
Most
I'm
of
gonna
their
let
things, not quite
Yep.
thoughts.
I'm gonna let Ty decide what Calda would like to
bit
ask
of
or pursue or
retroactive.
anything retroactively. But for now, you guys head out into the snow and you begin your journey. The first night, you only get like a couple hours out of town before it starts getting a bit too dark for travel. So you give that a little bit of a rest, and night falls, dark, stars are out.
As the
And-
campfire is being sat around, just, did you enjoy your day, brother?
Just gonna give her the look and be like, are you gonna pretend to be ignorant, or are you gonna just make fun of me right away?
You know what? I'll leave that choice to you. What would you prefer?
I figure straight out's easier.
Oh,
Well, as long as she's happy.
she.
I like to think that she is.
I imagine you would.
That is what I said, yes. How did your, what do you do in your free time other than stalk me? Just terrorize children, cackle in the night air?
Brother, I am offended and appalled. This is lies and slander, and I will have none of it.
You're also a nuisance and have committed all of those things in the last week and struck me with lightning.
If you had to know, I visited some friends I made in Sorren during my last trip.
Huh. Did you terrorize them too?
No, they were happy to see me.
Huh.
And I was them. Figured it only proper, since we were having another visit. We might run into one of them on the way. He is taking a trip.
Glad to hear you've made friends. How about you, Alaris? Stick yourself nose in a book all day?
Yeah, just trying to get the old scholar bones working. Just trying to, but didn't really get too much headway.
I mean, I can crack it open for you if you want to. Let me take a check.
I think I'll pass.
You sure? I even have this handy little hand axe.
Yeah, I'll pass.
Okay. God, I'm becoming like my sister. I'm going to bed.
All right. Settle down for the night. Set your fire, you pitch your tents. You set a watch, but nothing really occurs this first night out. Not too far from Sorren. In the morning, it is not quite as cold as the previous day. Still chilly, a little bit of a light wind going, and still that blanket of clouds overhead. The day begins, and you start your trek. And yes, the clouds continue for the next 24 hours. Maybe some breaks of sun, but not much.
Seems like mostly overcast again.
All right, and as you trek, let's see. Let's go ahead and have. Let's do a group survival check just for a direction and speed of travel and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I mean, I imagine Kane would have gotten vague compass directions and easy enough to follow.
Yeah, and I can roll for Ilaris and for Calda because John is not in the roll 20 right now. It looks like. So give me one moment while I open a couple of sheets.
Yeah, no, my sheet's being too much ass tonight, so I
That's fine. Yeah, this is Calda's. That's 2.
Calda is absent-minded.
Yep. And Ilaris is a 15. All right. Kane is doing a little bit better. I'd say that the total you're kind of making up for Calda at the moment. As a group, you guys don't actually get lost or off track. The compass does help,
Alsana
as does the
is
scout on the broom.
Yeah, Alsana is slightly distracted thinking about her prospective students, but
Yep. Regardless, you tramp on through the snow, and the day passes pretty much without incident. You take another camp, probably about midway point, perhaps somewhere around here or so, on the way to Lyria.
so about 2 hexes over.
Yeah, about 2 hexes over. Just to add a little bit more because you started a bit outside of Sorren the previous night. So within the next day, you should reach Lyria, and during that next day, let's go ahead and do one more set of survivals.
Can Alsana just, as she usually does, keep an eye out for fun nature stuff?
All
Any
right.
plants just peeking up over the...
You may go ahead and do a perception. Do actually investigation check while
Right.
you.
Can generally apply guidance to one survival versus investigation.
I would say yes. Apply to one.
Then she'll do her investigation.
Yep, because Ilaris seems to have the group well in hand. Kane's a little bit distracted. Perhaps what happened a couple of days ago now has finally hit him for like a brick to the head.
It's creeping on in the back of his neck, just like, oh.
Yep.
Oh, there's
I
more than
did
that going on, but it is entirely internal.
Okay. There's a lot going on in there.
24
Regardless.
investigation.
24 investigation. Yeah, we're getting into the 10th of rainfall. You actually might come across some very early winter blooming, early spring blooming flowers, the sort of the snowdrops, the early crocus, that sort of thing. And also, since the investigation check was so high, I would say that you can find you're able to find some just various sundry plants and herbs that can be used in these magical infusions. to make bases. I'll go ahead and have you roll a 1d6.
Six.
You find a lot. You find about 6 gold worth. You find some really good ones, some of the rarer ones as well. And then you just find like this jackpot patch of some flowers that kind of glitter in the light almost more than the snow does. And
So,
you are picking up on these.
so what, like
So yeah.
6 GP of
Yeah,
infusion
6
flowers?
GP of, yes, potion-based herbs, or whatever you want to label it. Whatever will keep it straight for you.
Alchemy herbs.
Okay.
Not
These
herbs
are like
for-
the general... Yeah, these are like the general use herbs for making a potion base. They're not so much the specific ones for they help with this actual potion or that actual spell or whatever.
And she will also pick up some of the, I guess, the less expensive ones.
Mhm.
And just kind of pocket those as well for later spell component use.
Okay. Sure thing. However, as you're going along, between that survival check for finding things and that investigation, you are, as a note, you are looking for mostly like flowers, herbs, the early pops of color and
Things low to the ground.
yes. And as you're investigating this, as you finish gathering this latest like windfall of herbs there, and flowers, you look up and you see, kind of in the middling distance, not too far, and kind of on your track, you see what seems to be a round hill, still covered in snow, crowned by a ring of trees, and you can see just between the trees, still leafless and skeletal with the winter, you see this this inner section of, at the very tip of the hill, this rising, tall, shifting. It looks almost like it might be grass.
Hmm.
It's not green. It's very, very pale gray brown. But it's not bowed and crushed underneath snow the way that any other grass in this area would be this time of year.
She kind of looks over and goes, I swear to God, if that's another plant growing weapon stuck in a piece of stone. And she hops on the broom and floats over to it and kind of lets the party know.
Okay. Does the party choose to follow, or are you just letting her hair off on her own?
Probably slow down so she can let us know what's going on easier.
Okay. Alsana, you drift towards it, and you realize, especially from the height, that what you're looking at is almost circle upon circle upon circle. The hill is a almost perfect dome shape. Around the base of the hill circles this very narrow stream, this rivulet. Actually, it is fairly wide in some places, but it looks pretty shallow. It's almost just this crust of ice, but it's clear of snow. A few rocks pepper it here and there. At the midway point of the hill, the mid-rise of the hill, you see that circle of trees. About another halfway mark from between that and the crown, there is a circle of very large rocks and boulders. And then inside of that is a circle of tall, waving grass.
Does she?
Go ahead and can you give me a wisdom check?
Oh, right. Raw wisdom?
Yeah, Raw's wisdom.
She's racking her brain on this.
Yeah, this is your spell casting modifier, basically, as a check thing. It's not Arcana per se, it's just sense of things.
21.
So, 21. You feel something about this area. There's something magical about it. It doesn't feel like a shrine. It's not that. You know it's not that. It's a different feeling. But there's a very, very particular sense of something
It's a
going on.
crow. She'll float down.
Um,
It's not like a malevolent feeling at all, is it?
It's a neutral feeling. It's kind of wild. It's almost chaotic. But it's contained as well.
She'll kind of like float just above the kind of grassy area and kind of like look a bit more closely at the center of it.
All right. From various vantage points on your approach, first there was the crest of the rise of the hill getting in the way, and then there was the tall grass in the way. Floating directly over it, you look down and you see and you realize that below you, there is, first of all, within the circle of grass, there's a circle of low, kind of golden yellow mushrooms, and inside that, there is roughly a circle of just a patch of dirt. No snow, just dirt. And in that, or rather, kind of above that, digging in the dirt, there is a beast. It's got what seems to be 3 heads. Lion, goat, dragon, a pair of wings, a long scaly tail, and it's digging in the dirt. And I'm going to do a very quick little perception on something's case, because while you have not been stealthy, you did fly. So, let's see how that goes.
Well,
23. Suddenly, one of the heads, the goat first, rears back. You see nostrils flare. It looks around, and then it looks up. And the other 2 heads follow. And they lock eyes with you.
oh my various gods.
And you hear a... Ah! I cannot roar. It's this terrible combination of a goat bleat, a lion roar, and a dragon bellow. And
I mean, you got the goat bleed down.
yeah, it was pretty much a goat bleat. That was the goat starting it off. And with that, it leaps upwards towards you, snapping its wings open. The rest of the party is somewhat distant, but I will go ahead and put you on the map.
Oh boy.
And that is what you see down there in the center.
Of course it is.
Yep. All right, and the rest of the party, you know what? I'm going to drag everybody onto the map. I'm just going to assume you guys followed, because combat is probably going to ensue. If not this time, then certainly next. Do you guys...
might want to wait until next time.
Yeah, do you guys want to wait until next time? Because if so, we're going to go ahead and call it there.
I think it makes the most sense.
Okay. Then I'm going to go
Does Sonic
ahead
get
and...
anything to start doing, or is it just we're rolling initiative right now?
It is just we are rolling initiative right now.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and put you guys back on the main...
I was gonna say, really, we want to
map.
just roll initiative for the simplicity of starting next time.
You know what? Sure thing. Go ahead and drag yourselves onto the map. You guys, for the most part, would be a little bit south and west. Alsana, you would be directly above the Chimera.
I did say she was floating above the grass, more so.
Alright, you would be not above the Chimera
Right
then, but
there?
above the grass. Yeah, that sounds fine. Keep in mind you are up off the ground.
Well, that's not good.
No, that's not. He's not doing much better.
He's doing pretty significantly better, I'd argue.
Yeah, let me get Calda and Alaris on
Already
there.
got them on.
Okay. You've already got their initiative rolled, or no?
No, just on the screen, sorry.
Okay. I will get them on the initiative in that case. Calda there. Wow, the day of initiative rolls. And Alaris.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Kane's doing significantly better.
Yeah.
Kane's the only one above a 10.
Yeah.
I have a dexterity score of 12.
I'm sorry, what? Oh,
I have a dexterity of
Score.
12.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you said I thought you meant modifier. I was like, what?
Oh yes, I rolled a 0 on the dice, obviously.
All right, so for next time, as you guys approach the hill, you hear this roar, this shrieking, bleeding, bellowing roar ring out from the crown of the hill, where Alsana went to investigate. And at the same time, you see bits of snow suddenly rise into the air with a flapping of wings. And that's where we're going to pick up.
All right.
Okay.
Hey.
I hope you guys are going to be ready for that.
Oh boy, more methods.
When are we ever?
Mm.
Oh.
All right. Let's go ahead and end the recording.
Unless there's anything last
Yeah.
minutes.
I don't think so. Anybody?
I'm good.
Well, until next time.
Yep.